Burial, burial, burial is my school, best education reservoir for young learners just like me. Burial,
Viewers and those in kindergarten, welcome to today's lesson on Agric. But before we look at our today's topic, let's quickly go back to our last week discussion. Last week we talked about food, and we say food is what we eat that makes us grow and gives us energy. Food is what we eat that makes us grow and gives us energy. And we listed some examples of food, and we mentioned something like rice, yam, beans, milk, and so forth. We later looked at sources or places where we can get food. Places where we can get food, and we mentioned some of the places like we get food from our farm, river, market, and garden. So having understand food and what it means, we are going to look at our today's topic. And our today's topic is what? Farm produce. Today's topic is what? Farm produce. What is farm produce? Farm produce are products gotten from our farm after harvesting. Let me take it again. Farm produce are products gotten from our farm after harvesting. After planting or after our planting season, we wait for time for harvest. And that time of harvest, we go back to our farm and harvest all the things we planted. And when we gather them together, they are called what? Farm produce. They are called farm produce. Another name for farm produce is crops. Another name for farm produce are, we will say another name for farm produce is crop. Crops are farm produce. When you gather different type of crops, put them together, they are called farm produce. So having known what is farm produce, we are going to put them on the board. Okay, having known what farm produce is, we are going to look at classification of farm produce. Classification of farm produce. And we'll say that our farm produce can be classified into, number one, we have cereals. We have cereals. And examples of our cereals crops are wheat. You know your wheat, your maize, your rice, and millet. They are grouped into millet. They are grouped into cereal. They are called the cereal crops. They are called the cereal crop. Let's mention the examples: wheat, maize, rice, millet, and so on and so forth. They are under millet. Remember, we are still talking of classification or groups of farm produce. Classification or groups of farm produce. Okay, what I mean is that wheat, maize, rice, and millet are under cereal. They are under what? Cereal. Another classification or group of farm produce is what? Vegetable and melon. Vegetable and melon. Okay, under our vegetables and melons, we have roots, stems. I believe we all know our vegetables. They are in form of edible form. You can eat them. They have seed, they can have balls. So they are under our vegetables and melon. Number three, we have fruits. Number three group of farm produce are our fruits. And we know our fruits. We have so many examples of fruits. Excuse me, look at our charts. We have a banana, orange, pineapple, cashew, pawpaw, apple, watermelon, and mango. They are all fruits, and they are under fruits. They are under what? Fruit. Remember, we are still under group or classification of farm produce. Number four, we have root and tuber. Root and tuber crops. We have what? Root and tuber crops. Examples of our root and tuber crops, we have potato, yam, cassava, and so on and so forth. We have under root and tuber crops, we have potato, yam, cassava. They are under root and tuber crops. Okay, having known our classification of farm produce, we are going to move to preservation, method of preserving our farm produce. How do we preserve our farm produce? We have different or various methods of preserving our farm produce in order to avoid spoiling, in order to avoid it from spoiling. Okay, let's take them down. We are still on preservation of farm produce. How do we preserve our farm produce in order for it to avoid spoiling? Okay, still on our preservation of farm produce. How do we preserve our farm produce? We preserve our farm produce in order for it to avoid spoiling. And one of the ways that we can preserve our farm produce is by salting. Number one, by what? Salting. From the word salting, you would have known what it means. Adding salt to our farm produce. Some of the examples of farm produce that we add salt to preserve them are our raw meat or our raw fish. When you add salt to your raw meat or fish, it can make it not to spoil. Number two, by drying. We also preserve some of our farm produce by drying them, putting them under the sun for them to dry to avoid spoiling. Number three, we have frying. We can also fry some of our farm produce for it not to spoil. Number four, we have freezing. And some of the things, freezing by putting them in the refrigerator for them not to spoil. For example, some of the products we can put in the fridge are our fresh tomatoes, your fresh pepper, our fresh tomatoes and your fresh pepper. You can equally put your fish there for it not to spoil. Number five, we also have by boiling. We have by boiling, cooking them in the fire so that they will not spoil or get rotten. Number six, we also have canning. By canning, this simply means putting them in a container, sealing them in a container to avoid them spoiling. Okay, having known the method or ways of preserving our farm products, we are going to go back to our lesson. I said for today we are looking at farm produce. I will say that farm produce are products gotten from our farm after harvesting. And they can also be called crops. All the crops gotten from our farm after harvesting are called farm produce. Examples of our farm produce. All these things are examples of our farm produce because they are gotten from our farm. Okay. Classification of farm produce. I say that farm produce can be classified or grouped into different forms or different types. Number one type of farm produce, we have the cereals. And we say examples of cereals are our wheat, maize, rice and millet. All these are under cereal group. Number two, we have our vegetables and melon. And examples of crops under vegetables and melons are your vegetables like your pumpkin leaf, your green vegetable. They can also be in form of root, stem, bulbs and seed. Your vegetable can be in form of roots, leaves, bulbs and seed. Okay, we now move to fruit. Fruit is another group of farm products. And examples of our fruits is your mango, your banana, your orange, your pineapple, your guava. They are under fruits. And number four, we have roots and tuber crops. And examples of root and tuber crops are your potato, your yam, your cassava. They are under roots and tuber. We now move to preservation of farm produce. How we preserve our farm produce in order for it to avoid spoiling. And we say number one method of preserving, we preserve by salting, adding salt to our farm produce to avoid spoiling. Number two, we have drying them under sun, putting them under sun. Number three, we have frying them with oil, hot oil. Number 4, we have freezing, putting them in the refrigerator. Number 5, we have boiling them on fire. Number 6, we have canning, putting them or sealing them in a container. It makes them not to spoil. Okay, this brings us to the end of our lesson for today. But before we go, I would like to give you homework. Make sure you write and submit back for marking. Okay, this is our homework for today. Number 1 question we have, what are farm produce? We say that farm produce are products gotten from our farm after harvesting. Number 2 question, mention 3 classification of farm produce. I told you the method of the group where our farm produce are grouped into different types. Number 3, we have list 5 ways of preserving farm produce. How do we preserve our farm produce? We have salting, drying, frying, freezing, boiling, and canning. Okay, this brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Remember to always stay safe. God bless you.